Hello, I'm William Seklar, President and CEO of the Community House in Birmingham, and you're joining us on Making a Difference at TCH. Within each show, we recognize individuals, organizations, foundations, nonprofits, and for-profits, those that are making a true and lasting difference in our community. In today's show, I've got a very special guest and a very important and special topic to both to the Community House and to me personally. It's about education, it's about our children, our young adults, and getting them prepared to go on to higher education, hopefully into college and beyond, and to get them prepared in the right way. And we're very blessed always in our community to have such wonderful choices. But there is a few stars that are happening in our community that today we want to invite onto our show so that you can talk to them and hear about what's going on in the future and now. So I'm very, very pleased to welcome a very special guest in our area. It's Andrew Guest. Andrew is the head of Notre Dame Preparatory School in Pontiac, and as many of you know, Notre Dame Prep is usually the way it's described, and it's an outstanding educational academic facility here in the area. Welcome, Andrew, to the show.
Thanks, Bill. I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you so much. You know, it's no secret, you probably already know this, Notre Dame Prep's got one of the finest reputations in the area. And to me, it's sometimes still a secret to some of those in our area because there's so many local choices. But I really want folks to know about Notre Dame Prep, how you came about, what your philosophy is, the mission of the school, and also talk about any new things that you might want our guests to hear about. So with that, I turn it over. Maybe we'll start with, what is your philosophy and mission over at Notre Dame Prep?
Well, it's interesting. Our philosophy dates back to 1816.
Wow.
So we were founded originally by the Marist Fathers and Brothers, which is an order of Catholic priests.
Yes.
And when we go back to the teachings of Father Colan, who was the founder of the Marist,
okay,
we find language about good Christian people, upright citizens, and academic scholars. So we still have that as part of our mission statement today, even in 2018. From a marketing standpoint, what we kind of use, we've added to that mission statement, and we talk about three things. We talk about being Catholic, we talk about international recognition, and we talk about college prep.
Great. Well, I will tell you, first of all, you hit all of those and more, and you probably are well aware of that, but as an outsider, somebody at the community house that observes it, it's in your DNA, all three of those, and you're doing it, you're delivering on all levels at a high level. Tell me a little bit about the faith-based part of the education, and is it required to be Catholic to go to Notre Dame Prep?
Yes, so faith is obviously very important to us as a Catholic school. Mm-hmm. That's the reason we exist. But you do not have to be Catholic to attend Notre Dame Prep. That's a misconception that's out there. We're about 80% Catholic.
Okay.
But we have several non-denominational Christians, several Protestant Christian groups. But we also have Jewish students, Muslim students. Generally, we're attracting students that want a quality education. They want an opportunity to get into the best college they can. And what they like about a Catholic school is its reputation for great academics, but also its sort of safe, nurturing environment, smaller class sizes, more individualized attention. Those kind of things are important to parents today.
Overriding, open to all, however, correct?
Correct,
yep.
Correct.
That's fantastic, and you know, it really is interesting that we have some of our Jewish friends will be on with some of their academies. We certainly have some of our Muslim friends, public schools and private, and I think that sometimes it's a misnomer that folks think that maybe perhaps you must be of a certain persuasion or a belief, and the fact of the matter is, and most, I think, equally important, is the academic side of it and being prepared, but having some great values and principles that you build your life upon. Is that?
Yeah. A lot of the schools you probably have talked to. We're very fortunate in Oakland County. We have some of the best schools in the country.
Sure do.
And many of us belong to an association, as does Notre Dame Prep, called ISACS.
Okay.
Which is the Independent Association of the Schools of the Central States.
Okay.
And that's an accreditation agency that has certain values, and some of those values center around the ideas of a more diverse education, a more international education, a little bit more accepting environment.
Okay.
Those are all core values, and it's consistent with our Catholic teaching because the Catholic means universal. We're supposed to be the universal church. What job would we be doing if we weren't open to families of all cultures and faiths and background?
Absolutely. And you know, you bring up a good point too, Andrew, and that is the fact that we have some great public schools in the area, and then of course we have a great selection of private schools in the area. What is your impression of when you're making a choice and looking for the right school for your child? Is there a difference between weighing out public versus private? What's your thoughts on that?
You know, I do think there's a difference. You know, as you mentioned, the public schools in this area are pretty strong public schools. They have great reputations. You know, but a lot of times they're bigger. Yep. They don't have quite the individualized attention or smaller class size that we have in the private independent schools. You know, and you know, the faith is a big issue because it's not that faculty, staff, and students at public schools don't have faith. They're just not allowed to practice it.
Right, correct.
So when you come to a Catholic school or a Jewish school or a Hindu school, any kind of faith-based school, you can practice your faith daily. You can go to, in our case, our students go to religion class every day. We pray every day before school starts. We pray every day at the end of school. We celebrate liturgy on a regular basis. You know, there's a crucifix in every classroom. There's a statue of the Blessed Mother in every classroom. So we're able to live the faith, and you combine that with the outstanding academics, and it's a 1-2 punch that we think really works well.
And you know, you bring up another interesting topic that I think my wife and I struggled with is I went to Seaholm, a great school in the area, awfully proud of it, got a good education, but we too wanted to have more intimacy between the teacher and the student, and being able to have that access and sort of more maybe personalized or intimate relationship between the teacher and the student, and you're able to offer that. At Seaholm we had big classes, and taking nothing away from Seaholm, but when we were looking for our children, we were looking for that more intimate opportunity, because the world's so competitive, right? So our children, we're trying to give them the best that we can to prepare them, and you offer that. Your ratios are pretty relatively small.
Yeah, the class size, depending on what division, because a lot of people don't know we're actually junior kindergarten through 12th grade.
Oh, no kidding.
So we have a lower division, we have a middle division, and we have an upper division.
Okay, didn't know that. Great.
So we have about 1,050 students total.
Wow, okay.
So it's not just about class size, because the best teachers will say that they could teach, you know, any size class. Yeah. And certainly we have teachers that fall into that category, but of course, many of our classes in the lower division are 15 to 20, 21, 22 max. In the high school, I think we average 22 per class. Some of the classes like phys ed may get a little bigger than that, but generally smaller, more intimate experience.
Well, I'll tell you, my experience from both in high school, and I went to a public college, and I was in classroom sizes, especially as freshmen, 200 to 400 students. I know they can teach it. The teachers can do a great job. The difference is sometimes the intimacy, getting that sort of quality one-on-one, and I also think sometimes it's distracting. I remember being in these big classrooms, like, because you know there's so much going on. With our children, it was a similar size, and I think that's a quality that you're able to provide along with those other great benefits. Yeah, so we think there's a sweet spot, you know, when it comes to particularly high school education, somewhere between 600 and 800 students. Okay. So it's large enough that you can have a full plate of activity, a full curricula, so to speak. You've got the band, you've got cheerleading, you've got sports, you've got theater, entertainment. So you have a full program, but you're small enough where generally everybody knows everybody, if not by name, by face. I think that sometimes is a bonus. certainly can make a difference. And you talk about your extracurricular activities. I know you have a pretty strong sports program. Can you tell us about the sports and some of the other offerings for those folks that may be thinking about Notre Dame Prep and how it might balance out between academics and athletics?
Sure. Actually, I'm glad you brought that up because as the school's academic, reputation has improved, some people think we don't have an athletic program. We actually have one of the largest athletic programs in the state.
No
We've got
kidding.
80 different teams.
Oh my gosh.
We've got. I was just looking at some numbers this morning. So our football team finished 8-3.
Fantastic.
Our competitive cheer and our volleyball team won state championships.
Congratulations.
Our boys and girls cross country team finished 5th and 7th in the state.
Oh my.
Our baseball team, which is competing on a brand new turf field that we just put in.
Beautiful field. I've seen it.
So we have a new turf baseball field and softball field at a cost of $1.2 million.
Wow, fantastic.
And the baseball team won a record 26 games this year on the new field.
No kidding.
I think our boys golf team and our girls tennis team both were regional champions. So
Good heavens, there is something for everyone.
There is. We even have an equestrian team.
No way, seriously?
Yes.
Well, one of the things it occurs to me when I've been to your campus is how gorgeous it is.
Yes.
The space, not only the athletic fields and the area, but you've got a lot of space for kids, for families. You're pretty fortunate. It's really an oasis, really,
Yes.
inside of a sort of an urban area.
Yes, people are always surprised when they come to our campus for the first time. They see the flowers, they see the trees, they see the cleanliness of the campus, and they'll say, boy, it feels like we're at a college campus.
Absolutely.
And we're good citizens of the city of Pontiac, but we know that there are some concerns in some areas of the city of Pontiac, so we take safety as a very high priority. Our campus is kept impeccable.
Yes, it is.
So we're very happy with the way it looks, and we're very happy with the present itself. But we're most happy with what goes on inside the school.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I must tell you, we feel strongly at the community house about Pontiac and how important it is as a part of Oakland County and our area. And while all the great things are being talked about and happening in Detroit, we certainly are big supporters and promoters of Pontiac. And I'm so glad you picked that location to have your campus and do what you're doing. You've just raised the bar in the area. We've only got a short time left. Anything exciting and that's new that's happening there that you'd like the parents or maybe prospective students to know?
Yes, I'm actually glad you asked that, because we are in the midst of finishing up a 26,000 square foot academic expansion.
Wow, okay.
We're putting on 8 new classrooms, 3 new science labs, 2 art studios,
My goodness.
a robotics lab, and a greenhouse.
Good heavens, on top of your facilities that were already beautiful
Correct.
and state-of-the-art.
Correct.
Well, you're certainly keeping it robust, and I'll tell you, anybody listening, if you haven't been out to Notre Dame Prep and seen the campus, experienced inside, met the students, met the teaching staff and the leadership there, you ought to do it. When you're making a decision, you have to consider Notre Dame Prep before you make your final decision, or you wouldn't be doing yourself justice, or your child, grandchild, etc. Well, Andrew, unfortunately our time has flown. I'd like to have you back on, and maybe as we get into the school year, we certainly at the Community House want to promote and support all that we can do for our great educational institutions, both private and public in the area, and you're doing a great job, and I'm grateful that you were on the show today.
Well, thank you, Bill, and the credit really goes to the hardworking faculty and staff. They're the ones that do all the magic in the classroom with the kids.
You got that right. Well, great words, wise words from its leader. Thank you again, Andrew. Folks, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk more about schools in our area. So grab a cup of coffee, see you on the other side of the break. Thank you again.